two countries divided by centuries of rivalry and warfare, and by 34 kilometers of treacherous open sea. It was a radical idea to dig a tunnel connecting them 100 meters below the rocky seabed. At stake, billions of pounds and the lives of 8,000 tunnellers. If it worked, it would be the world's longest undersea tunnel. But with terrifying floods, a horrific fire, and financial meltdown, the Channel Tunnel would dice with disaster right from the start. Europe, the nations of Britain and France. Since Ice Age glaciers melted 13,000 years ago, they've been separated by this formidable body of water, the English Channel. At 34 kilometers across, it's twice as wide as the Grand Canyon. The two nations spent hundreds of years at war, right up to the last century. For many on both sides, it's still a love-hate relationship. So the idea of an undersea tunnel to link these one-time foes caused controversy. But the massive trade boost for both countries was an irresistible incentive. In 1986, British Premier Thatcher and French Premier Mitterrand agreed to build the Channel Tunnel. But the total £3 billion budget was put up entirely by private finance. December 1987. The big dig begins. Heading underground were two armies of excavators, each over 4,000 strong, one French and one British. Each team would dig out from its own shoreline, racing to be the first to the midway point under the channel. The Brits were a tunnelling elite. They had to dig two main rail tunnels, plus a central service tunnel, together as wide as a 4-lane motorway. 245 cross passages, crucial escape routes in the nightmare scenario of a fire or accident in the tunnel. Above the tunnels, vents to release the huge air pressure from speeding trains. And giant crossover caverns, allowing trains to divert from one tunnel to the other to allow for maintenance. It all added up to a staggering 153 kilometers of tunnel to be dug. As the dig began, the tunnellers were in 1988, the Anglo-French tunnelling race was hotting up. But the Brits were holding on to their lead. The rivalry underground is keeping the dig on schedule, but speed isn't everything. Success relies on keeping both tunnels precisely on target. If they stray off course, lives could be at risk. Which could create sharp bends. And the high-speed trains that would use the tunnel had to have a broadly straight course to operate safely. The margin for error was frighteningly slim. The tunnels could not deviate by more than 2.5 meters. Being off target, the moment of truth was approaching as the French and British tunnellers edged ever closer together, towards breakthrough point. The tunnellers were intent on reaching the middle first. The engineers had bigger worries. After 3 years and 37 kilometers of tunnel dug, would the two halves actually meet in the middle? The British reach what they think is the rendezvous point first, but are they anywhere near the French? As a small drill bites through the soil, a current of fresh air wafts through. Air from France. French and British workers race to punch through the last few centimeters of rock that have separated the two nations since the Ice Age. And then, an epoch-making moment.
They're through! They're through! They're through! Hey!
And it's British tunneler Graham Fagg who takes the first step into French territory and into the history books.
To me, it's just fine for a day. I'm just an individual who was part of a team.
To see Graham's machines were stuck head-to-head in a monster gridlock. One side's machine had to go. But what do you do with an 1,100-ton TBM that's past its use-by date? Bury it. It was agreed that the British TBM would dive below its French counterpart to be entombed forever, 100 metres below the surface of the channel. As man and machine were parted after 3 years, it was a poignant moment for the tunnel tigers.
You see the machines buried and you get a bit of a twinge, you know.
The French TBM was towed to Britain to be scrapped. So the Brits made the first breakthrough, but a French vehicle took the first trip under the channel. Over the following months, the 4 other main tunnels met up in a flurry of breakthroughs. The tunnellers carved out hundreds of linking cross passages every few hundred metres. They drilled out the air pressure shafts. They finished off the crossover caverns. May 1991, the Channel Tunnel was finally dug.